want to say welcome to our Open for Business Mentorship series. And facing unemployment during recovery is one of our topics today. So I'm Mayor Vi Lyles, and today we have 4 panelists joining us, representing both industry and small business, to discuss how we are facing unemployment during the recovery and the reopening of our city. Before we get started, I wanted to give our small business community an opportunity to hear about our Open for Business Access to Capital program. This is a program that the City Council worked on as a part of our recovery strategy, and I'm thinking about how to build out the opportunity for everyone through business, housing, as well as looking at our airport and its contribution. So I'm going to turn it over to Holly and Jerry Ann from our City Economic Development team to give us an overview of the program that will be launching June 22nd. And they'll also take a few questions after the presentation. But I want to say to each and every one of you, this has been one of the hardest working teams. And the reason that they've worked so hard is we know access to capital for small businesses is the priority after we've had these closings and stay-at-home orders for several weeks now. So with that, Holly?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mayor Lyles. We really appreciate that. This has been an amazing team effort. And specifically, we'll be diving into what the Access to Capital program is today. But just to kind of give an overview, a lot of people are hearing this terminology in the community. I just want to connect it back in there. And if you have not, I want to explain this as well. We actually devised with our Small Business Recovery Task Force a plan that actually looks at business survival and then businesses that are in that state of thriving. And so there's $50 million that's been designated towards this initiative. The first $35 million is in that survive category. This was approved by City Council on May 26th. And so I just want to go ahead and say we're in the survive phase, and the access to capital represents 30 million of the 35 that's in that phase. So it's a considerable initiative. And then this just goes in specifically, sorry, this is probably a good slide just then to have up, but this just goes into the different initiatives that are in that survive first round that were approved and the amount of financing behind each of them. So I'm now going to turn it over to Jerry Ann Jackson, who's going to talk specifically about the Access to Capital program. And I will say this, if anyone has any questions, my team and I are available on any of the other initiatives.
All right, Jerry Ann.
Good morning. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. So we're going to go into a little bit more details about the access to capital. And we are wanting you to know about this information early so that you can prepare your documents and you can begin to get things in order. So when the application is launched on June 22nd, that you would be able to have everything ready and apply. So first, the business must be headquartered within the City of Charlotte city limits. If you have 25 or less employees, that's one of the requirements. 5 employees or less, you would qualify for the $10,000 grant. 25 employees or less, 6 to 25, you would qualify for the $25,000. Another qualification is that you would have to have less than $2 million in revenues in 2019, and your business must have begun before January 1st, 2020. So we're looking at businesses that started in 2019, no current bankruptcy proceedings, and you must show some type of demonstration for your COVID-19 impact. And on the application, there is some more information. All of this will be detailed in the application, but just make sure that you can demonstrate how closing your business or how COVID has really impacted your business. Next slide, please. Next slide, Holly.
There we go.
Thank you. So when we look at the documents that you are needing for your application, we are requiring 3 documents. At least one of the documents would need to come from the IRS with your letter with your business name or EIN, a bank statement with your business name, your utility bill, or your mortgage statement. And we're asking for those documents to be within the last 3 months. Your sale and use tax report from Mecklenburg County could be from 2019, and a certificate of insurance with your business name. Again, 3 documents are needed, but 1 would need to come from this required list. Additional documents that you can use would be your lease agreement with your business name, Schedule C from 2018 or 2019, your balance sheet, and your profit and loss statement. Your balance sheet and profit and loss statement would need to be reflective of 2018 or 2019 to show your loss for COVID-19. Again, why are we wanting to share this information with you today? We want you to go ahead and meet with your accountant or your financial advisor to begin to prepare these documents. Now, we will be reviewing the Foundation for the Carolinas. They will be reviewing applications on a rolling basis. So it will not be on a first come, first serve, but it will be a rolling application process. But again, we would like for you to begin to prepare your documents. So once the application is released, you will be ready to submit. Next slide, Holly. So this is the program timeline. The first phase 1 of the application will go live on June 22nd, with checks being issued June 30th and July 6th. As the mayor mentioned in the beginning, we know that small businesses are hurting right now, and we want to get the checks out as quickly as possible. Our team will be doing additional outreach along with our partners of charlottebusinessresources.com, making sure that we get the word out to the community. Phase 2 of the application will be rolled out on July 20th. The application will be live on June 22nd. And if you do apply on June 22nd, you do not have to upload your application again. Phase 2 checks will be issued on August 3rd. And we're asking all businesses to complete a survey in September. Because again, we want to know about your business. We want to be there for your business. So how is your business doing? And how has this grant impacted your business? All of this information can be found online on this web address. The application will be online on the Foundation for the Carolinas, fftc.org/CFP grant. If you would like additional information, please go to that website. If you would like to share this with your networks, with your friends, with other small business owners, please share this website as it's updated often on information about the grant program. Again, we're excited to launch it. We know that you're having difficult times, but right now we're just urging everyone to begin to prepare your documents. It will be selective on a rolling basis, not first come, first serve. But we want to make sure that we get the information out to the community and we can support as many small businesses as possible.
All right, Jerry, and you've got a lot of questions. People are hearing about this, and we're going to have you address some tough questions. So let's start off with, do I need to show financial records that my business suffered financially from COVID-19?
So on the application, you would have to submit your balance sheet and your profit and loss statement to show the impact of COVID-19 on your business. So we are encouraging businesses now to go ahead and meet with your financial advisor and your accountant to get that paperwork in line. So yes.
All right. Will the application be available to review or preview prior to June 22nd?
It will not be, but hopefully on June 22nd, we will have businesses that are ready to go online and that you can take a look at it. And I do want to go back, Mayor, excuse me. They do not have to have financials that reflect the impact. We just only want to see ways to show your business operations.
Okay, everybody heard that. You do not have to show a sheet saying the impact, but you do have to show your business operations, which I'm assuming you can figure out what's going on.
If I could just clarify that, if you don't mind, is that okay if I step in?
Thank you, Holly.
That's exactly right. That was just an option that we're small businesses the opportunity to provide things to us that show some form of operations. And so that is just an option that people can have. And we're really looking at that profit and loss statement to be from January 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2019. But again, it's just to kind of give us a feel that you're an operating business. And as Jerry Ann said, the critical document that we'll need to make sure there's at least one, but you can do all three if you want to, is from that required list that's on there.
Okay, so this is my question, Ann. Well, if I don't have the ability to look at it on the internet, can I apply anyway, or how could I apply?
Yes. So one of our things that our team is going to do is we're going to make sure that we have paper applications, and that we will meet with we're working with our resource partners in the community to make sure that we get the word out. In phase 2, a part of our plan is going out and working with some of our partners and make sure that we have that paper application there and one-on-one, understanding COVID restrictions, but we're definitely planning to be out in the community, making sure that people are well aware.
Okay, can you define the type of businesses that are eligible? I know you had the size of the number of employees, but are there types of businesses that are eligible to apply?
Yes, the types of businesses that we're looking for are businesses that were impacted by COVID-19. So specifically businesses that were closed from the North Carolina Executive Order 120, those are eligible to apply. If businesses that were not closed by that order, they could also apply. They would just have to submit an affidavit showing how COVID-19 has decreased their business sales or impacted their businesses.
So is it all the way from the barber shops to the restaurants to staffing agencies? I mean, every type of business is eligible?
Yeah, if they're located within the city of Charlotte limits, 25 or fewer employees, and if they meet the eligibility requirement, then yes, they're eligible to apply.
So the two top requirements that you have to be located within the city and that you have to have an impact of COVID. Yes, please, go ahead.
I just want to make sure I go, it's headquartered in the city limits.
Headquartered in the city limits.
We were very intentional. We feel like based on businesses with 25 employees and less, we're looking at up to almost 11,000 that would meet that within the city limits that are headquartered here. So we are being very intentional about directing the funding at those business types, and then also or business located headquartered in the city limits. And the business types, just to go into a little more detail, we're looking at sole proprietor, S corps, C corps, limited liability or LLC, corporations, and then partnerships. So we feel like we've tested it. We've gone into the small business community. We feel like that covers the majority of those businesses that we were just talking about. So,
okay.
All right. I would like to add also that the gross sales for 2019 would need to be less than $2 million as well.
Okay. Are there any restrictions on the use of the money if I qualify?
So we're asking businesses to make sure they use the money for rent or mortgage payments, utilities, employee salary and benefits, or supplies and restocking fees. So in the application, businesses would go in and show what they're using the money for.
Okay, thank you. Do I qualify if my employees are part-time?
Yes, you do qualify.
Okay. Are there any, or we've talked about this, but let's just review it again. Are there geographies, income levels, or specific types of small businesses prioritized as a part of this program?
So we are really wanting to make sure that the funds go to small businesses that have not received the PPP funding or the Golden Leaf funding. So businesses that have not received additional funding, they will be first priority. Also, like Holly mentioned earlier, headquartered within the city of Charlotte limits. And our whole goal is to get the money out as quickly as possible. The foundation for the Carolinas, they have been a wonderful partner trying to make sure that we get this application out and that businesses are aware that it's coming and that they're ready to go so that they can get these funds and get back to work.
One thing that, Jerry Ann, you got me thinking about when they talked about part-time employees, that for the businesses, 25 employees, we will require a W-3. So we do need to actually see that you do have those businesses and part-time employees are on W-3s.
So I am sure that there'll be a wealth of information on the website and the application. If you walk through it, they'll be able to address all of these questions. I want to thank all of you for explaining this program, because it is really important as we're in this recovery time that small businesses are the foundation of commerce in this country. And we know that you've been impacted by closing, by the stay-at-home order. We also know that there are going to be requirements, particularly for cleaning and sanitizing. And we want you to be able to be to not worry about funding for those kinds of things that are a result of COVID-19. So thank you, Jerry Ann, and thank you, Holly, for your information.
Welcome.
One day, in the next, closer to June, we'll probably do a whole program on this. All right, so now we have some panelists for a discussion that are going to talk with us this afternoon, and I'm going to introduce them. Andrew Davila is a business engagement director at Charlotte Works. This is the workforce development board that serves Mecklenburg County. Charlotte Works connects job seekers and employers, provides skill training and work opportunities for youth and adults, and also they're the people that keep the data to help educate people in making decisions on workforce needs. And they partner with a number of corporations and businesses in Charlotte, Mecklenburg. Kenny Colbert is president and CEO of the Employers Association, which really is an agency that serves the business community by offering solutions, expertise, resources, and answers for people in business and to help them with their clients, as well as to grow in successful workplaces. Deanna Baumgardner, president of Employers Advantage, a local human resources company that provides customized practical solutions for Charlotte's businesses. She helps companies establish clear and effective policies to save them time, money, and human capital. And Giovy, I'm sorry, this is not going to help me, really. I'm terrible at names. Giovanni, I finally got it right. Giovanni buyers, and this is really bad because I've been to Southern Blossom Florist, and I love that shop over on East Boulevard. As the owner of Southern Blossom Florist, a local florist shop that creates stunning floral arrangements and gift baskets with hand-selected fruit, flowers, and gourmet and local products. She loves that she has a family-owned business that helps people celebrate their personal moments. So at the end of our discussion by the panelists, we'll come back. Please feel free to send your questions to us, and we will proceed now. And I'm going to start off with a few questions to the panelists and ask them to please share as much as you choose to so that people can understand that you're in business to help. And I'm sure that if there's anything that you share, someone is really going to be interested in it. So let's start off with Andrew and Charlotte Works. We've heard a lot about grants and loans to help small businesses right now. So what are some that Charlotte Works can help with, especially when it comes to building a pipeline for workforce talent? Andrew?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. So there are grants that we have received, and we administer the grant, what is called the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, or WIOA grant funds. In being a little bit more specific, we do have two types of allocation funds. One is the Dislocated Worker Fund, which is someone who has been dislocated, laid off, furloughed, as some of the terms have been known as, and then adult funds. Most recently, we have also been granted an emergency grant fund through and for dislocated workers. There are various ways in which we can provide this funding to both employers and job seekers. One of the ways we can provide this funding to job seekers is for them to upskill or reskill in industries that are in demand for our area. We can also administer these funds to employers. These grants are specifically called the on-the-job training grant or the adult work experience grant. Both of these grants are work-based learning opportunities for job seekers, but the incentive for employers is that it's a hiring incentive. The on-the-job training grant is an incentive to hire new employees to help offset the cost that it would take to train a new employee. The OJT program, as it's called, on-the-job training grant, reimburses a company 50% to 75% of the salary that is earned by the employee. The contracts that are drawn up can be anywhere from 4 months to 6 months in length. So the incentive there is for the employer to hire someone who may not have all of the skills that they're looking for, but are willing to train them. And there is a formal training that will be devised with that particular employer. But again, offsetting those costs, 50 to 75% of those wages that are earned. Another one of the work-based learning opportunity grants is our adult work experience grant and even a youth experience grant. This work-based learning opportunity in particular is a internship type program. All of the wages are paid through our NC Works Career Center. Charlotte Works oversees 2 NC Works Career Centers on Forest Point Boulevard, and what was the Executive Center Drive location is now McAlpine Park. And those programs are administered through our NC Works Career Centers. So the adult work experience is a fully paid internship by our Career Center, which is paid for and through by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act.
Thank you, Andrew. Really appreciate that. We'll come back and get a few more details about the programs that you have. But now let me speak with Kenny. Kenny, can business owners just ask workers to come on back? How do they even begin to approach onboarding returning employees? Kenny? We can see you online. We're just waiting for you to come up. This is where we play.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, great. All right, great. I'll give you a yes. I'll give you a yes, no, and maybe answer to that. That's a typical HR answer. You can't bring the employees back, but before that, there's I think 4 groups of employees that you need to be prepared to address. Number one is you've got employees who are ready, willing, and able to come back to work, and they're raring to go because they've been sitting home now for 10 or 12 weeks. The second group of employees are some people who maybe are drawing equal or more money in unemployment than what they're making right now. So you need to be prepared to address that group of employees. The third group of employees who maybe have a fear factor, they're afraid of coming back to work because of the virus there. And then the last group is the fear factor, those employees who are afraid to come back to work and they have underlying health conditions. Maybe they have, a cancer survivor, heart problems, hypertension, issues like that. And you need to be prepared to address each one of those groups of people as you're talking to them about coming back to work.
All right. Thank you very much. So in each of those groups, we're going to come back and ask you later on, what advice do you have to address that so as they come back? But let's go to Deanna. Deanna.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some things a small business owner should put in their returning to work plan to help their employees adjust?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we actually did a 4-part transitioning back to the workplace blog series that's up on our website that addresses this, because it is similar to what Kenny just said. It's not just, I mean, it is, let's recall people back to work, but it's just not that simple. And it's not as simple as it was before. So we look at a variety of things, like there needs to be a reassessment of the work arrangement. Some folks were able to work remotely and maintain productivity. So is the small business going to continue to allow that either in some full-time or even part-time capacity? So, the return to work plan has to take into consideration, is that still going to be allowed, and what does that look like? If somebody's being called back from a layoff or furlough, how is that happening? Is it incremental? Is it full-time, part-time, same kind of thing? So that whole reassessing the work arrangements is one part of it. Looking at preparing the physical environment, using the CDC guidelines for cleanliness, and looking at things such as shared spaces, common spaces. People would congregate in the break room and have coffee together, and they would share coffee mugs. That's not really a thing that should be happening anymore. So having an understanding of how they're going to prepare the physical work environment for people to come back. We also want to look at how do we either create or reassess certain HR policies that apply to the new work arrangement, the new physical environment. We're recommending all of our clients take a good look at any of their paid time off policies, because a lot of what's happened during COVID has shined a light on hourly workers and lack of paid time off and a variety of different things for reasons related to being sick and people coming to work sick because they can't afford to take the time off. So, reassessing your HR policies around paid time off, infectious disease policies, and those types of things. Also making sure that a small business owner is ready to be in compliance with the Family First Coronavirus Response Act that was passed April 1st. And then lastly, we're really focusing on providing employee support. That has to be a huge part of the return to work plan. Over communicate, if you want to call it that, but companies need to let the employees know what they're doing to create a safe and productive work environment, to hopefully mitigate some of the fear that employees do have about coming back. So that's a big one.
I'd like to come to you and talk a little bit. There we are. Giovy, this is a really tough question, because we know how hard it is for entrepreneurs to bring on staff when you first start to grow, that transition that you're taking, because this is your livelihood, your dream, your vision, and you're used to doing everything yourself. So how are you finding the similarities between when you first started out and now that you're having to reopen? What's the same and what's different?
Hi, Mayor. Thank you. First of all, thank you for this opportunity. I think it's great that we are using this platform to really share with everybody what we're doing. So the similarities is that, I'm always thinking about my employees and always, doing everything on. Well, now the difference is that before I used to do everything myself. Well, now I'm actually taking it back and keeping my employees working. And at the same time, I'm staying home. I'm not going to the shop as much, and I'm not paying myself. So yes, I'm still working and doing it all, working on social media that is full time, trying to connect with all my partners and things like that, but not paying myself because I have employees that, they have families, and, and that is the most important to me, keep them employees. So right now, working 8 days a week without pay, so I can keep them, with me, because they are the ones that help me to grow. They're everything for me. So as they are more important to me.
I really appreciate that comment, and your the idea that when you look at your people that work for you, that they're the most important thing. I think we're going to hear a lot more about that kind of discussion. So right now we have a couple of questions that have come in from our by social media, and I think we'll start off with Deanna. And I think this is a really good question, and all of you may have some way that you can identify how to learn more about your comments. But Deanna,
Yes,
where
ma'am.
can business owners find resources to assist with return to work procedures? Is there a website? Is there a place that, do you have it on your website? What's a good way to find out about those procedures?
Yeah, that is a good question because, there's so much information out there, and sometimes as a small business owner, it's hard to know what applies to you. I will say that at Employers Advantage, we did put up that, like I said, that 4-part checklist of return to work, and within that, we did link resources. And there's one specifically that's called backtoworksafely.org. It's a nonprofit, and one of the really cool things that they did was they broke down return to work checklists by industry. So there's a retail sector, there's hospitality, there's construction, and there's general office. So it really breaks it down so that it's more relatable to the small business owner and the industry that they're in. And then, of course, the CDC's website is chock full of really, really great information. They have flow charts that are helpful for small business owners. Outside of that, I would say, give us a call or Kenny a call, because we're both in that same capacity of providing that support to small businesses. Because it can be overwhelming for sure. I mean, I'm also a small business owner myself. I've got a team of folks to take care of, and I'm looking for the same resources as everybody else. So we really try to simplify it and provide that information to small businesses. So.
Thank you. So I think that you just offered that you can Google the Employers Advantage website as well as the Employers Association website and look for links that will help out with that.
Yeah.
So Giovy, what is your go-to resource as a small business owner when you're looking for advice, especially on human resource issues?
Well, my to-go resource is the Charlotte Business Resources. They have a vast of information for everything that I need, even for counseling, my next step. Now I'm in this situation. I need someone to look at my financials. So they're great. One of those great resources are the SCORE. They have counselors that they can help you look at all your information, your data, and where's your next steps. So those are, to me, like the most, one of the biggest resources that I always go. Charlotte Agenda is also a good one. If I'm, looking for people that wants to, looking for jobs or employees, so those are one of the resources I also go. The CPCC, Institute for Entrepreneurship, that's another one that I also visit often. But the main, like I said, the Charlotte Business Resource are my biggest one, my number one.
So in addition, I'm going to repeat this: Employers Advantage, Employers Association, CDC, Charlotte Business Resources, SCORE, and Charlotte Agenda. All of these are sites out there that are open and accessible to all of the small businesses that we're working to make sure that you can be successful. So Andrew, where can I turn to help fill positions that might remain open because employees found a different job or otherwise aren't going to return? You talked about the 4 groups, the people that are ready to come back. You've got coverage there, but you sometimes find that their unemployment benefits are more than the salary they were paying. And you said there are 2 types of fears of the virus generally, and fear that you have a health condition in your household or yourself and you're reluctant to come back. So where do you turn to help fill positions when people are not coming back, or even when you perhaps can't afford to pay them more than what they're making? Kenny? I'm sorry, Andrew.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And Kenny, yeah, I believe you hit that right on the head. That's exactly what we've been seeing. As I stated earlier, we oversee NC Works Career Centers, and that's a little bit what we're experiencing from those that are currently receiving unemployment insurance benefits. Those are some of the real concerns. And so, again, as the Workforce Development Board that serves Mecklenburg County, again, we're making those connections for job seekers and employers. If an employer is seeking assistance in filling some of those open positions, Charlotte Works, NC Works can assist. So directly, Charlotte Works has what we call our talent sourcing network. We can assist employers focus the search to identify types of skills that are required for those open positions, and then help source and hire those workers. We have a systematic process where we can assist with sourcing that talent. We work with businesses alongside with our community-based organizations to help recruit talent for those positions. Because we believe in providing equitable access to employment opportunities, we really tap into the local talent at our community-based organizations. Indirectly, through our NC Works Career Center, our business solutions staff can show employers how to post jobs onto the ncworks.gov website. Employers can actively recruit candidates through this website. Also, our business solutions staff, they're currently hosting weekly hiring events, virtually, of course, through a WebEx platform. Employers can join online alongside job seekers to make those job connections. Employers are able to provide company information, provide job descriptions, provide benefit information so that job seekers are informed of the positions that are available and which might be a good fit for them.
Andrew, I know that your offices have moved recently. Can you tell people how to get in touch with Charlotte Works? What's the best way to access all of those programs that you have, and how do you get and how people may access the ability to get you to help them ramp up employees?
Great, thank you for asking that question, Mayor. The Charlotte Works website, charlotteworks.com, we do and have staff that field questions, and there is an easy way to access our business department. So our business engagement department can reach back out to those individual companies that are interested in services. And then, of course, emailing me directly, I'll be able to contact or make connections to my staff that would best be able to provide those solutions that those companies need.
Well, I'm not going to give out your email address, but I will say, let's go to charlotteworks.com and you'll get a reply to your email to the website. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. Okay, Kenny, I've already described your 4 groups already. So if you're looking at the Employers Association advice, what kinds of virtual events and training can small business owners take to help them through the stages of reopening? I guess what they mean is, Kenny, what can I watch at night because I'm too busy reopening during the day? So virtual ideas. Kenny?
There are a number of other types of employers associations have activities there. You look at Deanna's group, they've got programs that are available. A resource that was not mentioned earlier was OSHA. OSHA has a great 35-page document on return to work. CDC has some great things. So really, if you'll just look online, there are a number of different programs, different webinars, et cetera, that can walk you through step by step on what you need to do before your employees return to work and while they're at work. There are countless resources out there.
Kenny, I've another question has come for you, and the question is, can the process a small business use to bring back employees affect the status of the PPP loans?
Well, actually, we've got some good news related to that. As you're very aware, this law was written over a matter of just a couple of weeks and was implemented immediately. So there were some loopholes in the law, but last Friday on June 5th, the PPP Flexibility Act was passed, and it loosened some of the requirements. Employers now have 24 weeks or until the end of the year to spend that money rather than 8 weeks. And now up to 40% of the money can be spent on non-payroll items. That was limited to 25%. And then they've also changed some of the forgiveness rules. It's a little looser now. So that if you can't hire people back by right now that you had on the payroll back in February, you have until the end of the year to get your payrolls in balance there. So we've got a lot of new rules that just came into effect. So I highly encourage you, talk to your financial institution where you've got the PPP loan, and they can walk you through these steps. But it's good news that we have more flexibility this week than what we had last week.
I really, it's just great news because this will help mesh in with a number of other opportunities, just like the city's program. When we're talking about grants, those grants have a lot more flexibility, and hearing about the PPP flexibility changes are really going to be helpful for small businesses. So, Deanna, sometimes in small businesses, we see a family dynamic form. What are some challenges that come up when you're close to employees or run your business with your family, especially in a crisis? I grew up in a family business, and I have 5 brothers, and all 5 of them work there. And I can imagine if it's anything like my family, it would be a very difficult question to address. So, Deanna,
Yes.
you want to give us a stab at how we manage family-owned businesses, especially in a crisis?
Yeah, that is a great question, Mayor, because a lot of small businesses are, family-owned, family-run. And a lot of small business owners, when they start their first business, they bring in friends and family to help them. They bring in people they know and that they trust. So the thing is with that, it can work, of course, and we have a lot of successful small businesses that are family-owned, family-run, and they operate as a family. Doesn't always work, but I think as long as there's clear communication, clear guidelines, clear expectations, particularly in a crisis situation, there has to be communication around expectations, because it's important to maintain business operations, keep focused on the mission of the business so it can then maintain employees and maintain their activity in the community. So, it's super hard for small business owners, whether they're, actual family or they feel like family, because it's much more intimate in a small business. Like Giovy said, she's not taking a paycheck, bless her heart, so she can pay her employees because that's her work family. So it's the same thing. It is very difficult to sometimes make those decisions that we know best for the business long term that may be hurtful to the people that we're working with. So, transparency and communication, setting expectations. I think that's the best approach when working in a small business, creating some boundaries around that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of a hint of like when things are going well, it works, but when the crisis comes, are there places or ways that you would suggest for conflict resolution when the crises are going on, or when you're really just basically in a situation that you have conflict going on in the business?
Yeah, I mean, it can be difficult because there's a lot of emotion. So, having a trusted resource come in and maybe just help mediate a conversation and be somebody there that's a resource for both sides. Because, it is personal, it is much more intimate, and it can be very emotional. And then the other part of it is sometimes the business owner is looking to try to save the business, and, employees or family members or whatever might not understand that, and that can create disconnect. So having somebody that can come in and mediate and help everybody understand what's happening and involve everybody in the decision making if you can, so that they have buy-in. And for example, we have a client that's a winery, and she was asking me all these questions of things that she should do or not do for, to cut back expenses that are going to have a huge impact on employees. And, my first thing to her was, let's ask them. let's give them options and see what it is that they would want. They might have ideas on ways to cut expenses that you can't see, because they're in it every day. So let's go to them and get some feedback and some communication from them versus her being the one dictating what's going to happen, and make it a collective decision.
That's a great response. I think you've said communicate. So, Giovy, you have been asked something that's pretty, I think, one I'm going to say could be personal and or professional. What has been the biggest challenge you have faced as you geared up to reopen?
I have so many biggest challenges. It's one specifically, but again, it's just the unknown. Because 50% of our business have been canceled, which we do a lot of weddings and special events. And now to me, it's like, where do I get that cash flow? Luckily, we have very amazing, loyal customers that have keeping us, busy. But, with my, one day-to-day flowers, I can't pay my rent, so I can pay, salaries. So that has been like the biggest challenge, to find other resources and other ways for us to keep going. We were one of the flower shops that were going to participate in the RNC. We did RNC, and then we did everything possible. Unfortunately, we didn't get that event and all these things that were going to happen for the city. So we saw that, that possibility of coming back and keeping our shop going. So we are trying to find different ways of becoming very more creative for us to keep, to keep our customers and helping. So it's just very challenging, because at this point I have so many hats on me. Financially, had to keep the doors open, like with events. Trying to see if our events of our weddings are coming back. So it's very hard. It's very hard.
So I think that it's clear that we see your passion for your business, and we also see how much time and energy you're putting into maintaining a successful business during a time that for months, the city council heard a report yesterday from the Visitors Authority, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and they basically said that they have nothing on the books for the remainder of the summer, and that they're planning and trying to make it possible for September to be a time for a big comeback. So you have all of that. So I just want to say our hats are off to you. I mean, really, if there's an example of resilience, I think that they should have your picture on it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your kind words.
So, Andrew, we have a question. What if we change how we do business? Is there somewhere we can turn to get advice to upskill our workforce?
Yes, thank you. There is. Through one of our grants, the Charlotte Works also engages with all businesses to help them meet their current talent needs and their future talent needs as well. So if an employer is seeking advice to upskill their current workforce, by consulting with one of our business managers, employers can learn more about our Upskill grant. That is a grant where we have funding to send current employees to training so that they can retain their current job or move up within that company. Training can be in class or online. Online, obviously, at this point right now is necessary. So we have employees going to Employers Association for some computer upskills. We've had some employees going into classes at CP for project management. So there is upskill grant funds to help those employees.
Again, and you can go to Charlotte Works website to get more information about this. But while we have you, Andrew, you have another question. The city just partnered with Charlotte Works for a virtual job fair last week. How did that go? Will you have another one in the future? And what kind, oh, you got a lot of questions here. What kinds of openings are small business owners looking for help to fill? So the first one is, how did the virtual job fair go last week?
So yes, the virtual job fairs is now in partnership with the City of Charlotte, and they are, again, through that WebEx platform. They are currently held each week, Thursday mornings, as they are, and the partnership is going very well. The partnership was developed to expand the number of job seekers that were connecting to meaningful employment. We're also working with the city to partner with other employers so that we have more employers to feature in making those connections. Some of the positions, it really varies. And some of those may be skilled labor, construction have been a couple of the most sought after, but there's warehousing, packers, and machinists. So it covers all of the industries. At this point, we've kept it open to all industries, but I think as we continue to host these events again on Thursday mornings, we may specialize in special industries.
Okay, so you said that you did one last week on Thursday, and you're going to have another one on, and they will continue on Thursday until they are not required anymore. So what kinds of openings are small business owners looking for help to fill?
So a couple of those examples were the skilled labor and construction. There's no shortage of construction right now, even through the crisis. And so that was one of the largest areas of positions available.
Okay, more, and if you would be able to just go to charlotteworks.com. Kenny and Deanna, this is a question for both of you. And I hope that if you feel like you can go back and forth, and we'll do that. For employers who might have employees who don't want to come off unemployment immediately, how do you respond when those staff come back looking for their original job? So they're not ready to come back to work there. They don't want to come off of unemployment. What do you say when they come back looking for their original job? Kenny?
Well, the conversation needs to be had as soon as you find out that they don't want to come back to work. And you need to look at this two ways. Some employees are going to be very upfront and say, listen, I'm making equal or more money on unemployment. I don't want to come back. Others are going to use the excuse of, I'm scared to come back because of the virus, when they really mean, I don't want to come back because of unemployment. But these are not legally protected reasons. You know, the fact that you're drawing more in unemployment is not a protected category. So the employer needs to have an honest conversation with the employee and say, listen.
So it's really odd, but we're doing the same thing. We're encouraging our clients. We're putting out notices. Here's the business need. We're recalling your position. This is your offer. If we don't hear from you by this date, we're going to assume you've resigned. And we are encouraging all of our clients to report those job openings to the state, not to, be mean to the individual and try to take away their livelihood. But, we have to get people back to work in jobs for us to continue to move forward.
So let's go to another category of those employees that want to work, but they truly are afraid of the workspace because of the virus. And how do you make sure that you communicate with them, as well as what do you do to show that you're willing to help them feel more comfortable returning? Deanna, any ideas there?
Yeah, so what we're finding is, obviously there's a difference between being safe and feeling safe. And so one of the things that we're really working to do is, again, it's going back to the transparent communication, the straightforward communication of, here's what we as an employer are doing. Here's the cleaning strategy that we've taken into consideration. Here, we're wearing masks, whatever it is that the company is doing to create healthy work standards, and then have honest communication with the employee, find out exactly what their fears are, and see if it's something that can be adjusted by the company or accommodated by the company. If it's just that they're not comfortable, we have had some clients that have given people a week to adjust. And if you don't come back at that date, then you've resigned your position again, because we have to keep focused on getting the businesses back up and running.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I want to say especially thank you. We did not get to all of the questions, and that's a good thing, because that means people are energized and curious and inquiring from the panel. And I just want to say to everyone, please think about our panelists. You have their websites. We've talked about that. They've also given you other resources. And I know that this is the end of today's mentorship.